Hey guys, it's Allie. In today's video, I have my list of best travel tips for Mexico that you probably wouldn't think about. Even if you've been to Mexico a few times, or if it's your first time visiting, I guarantee you will use at least a few of these travel tips. So let's get into it. Most of these tips apply to people traveling off of the resort. So if you're staying at an all-inclusive resort but planning day trips or some excursions, these will still definitely be helpful for you. But if you are planning to stay in one of the cities like Puerto Vallarta, Bucerias, Merida, or even places like Mazatlan or Acapulco or Huatulco, these tips definitely will be helpful for you. My first tip is all about cash. Cash is king here in Mexico, so always pay cash when you can. Don't rely on using credit cards. Most places, especially restaurants, will have big signs that say cash only. Always plan to pay in cash when you're here in Mexico. My second cash tip is always use pesos if you can. Pesos are the currency here in Mexico and are much more preferred than US dollars. If you pay in US dollars, you will actually get a worse exchange rate. So it's way better to pay in pesos. 20 pesos is about $1 right now. The best place to get pesos is at a bank ATM. They will have the lowest fees. They are more likely to always have cash available, and you won't have to worry as much about card skimmers or things like that. Always look for an ATM that's attached to an actual bank. Avoid the ATMs that are in front of restaurants or sitting randomly on a street corner. When you're using an ATM, you will have to pay a normal ATM fee. Usually it's about 20 to 35 pesos. That's normal, just like back home. At the very end of the transaction screen, it will ask you if you want to do another conversion. Always decline that conversion because your bank at home is already going to convert for you. You will get charged an extra fee that you don't have to get charged for, so always decline the conversion rate. Always decline the conversion at the end. You don't want to get double charged. Another travel tip when it comes to cash in Mexico is that if you do get your pesos out of the ATM, chances are it's going to be in large bills, like 500 pesos. When you can, try and pay with your big bills like at restaurants or even if you're buying bottled water at the OXXO, because you want to keep your small bills for tips. A lot of people, especially if you're at like a beach restaurant or something like that, or if you're just going for happy hour, they won't want to break a large bill. So always try and break them when you can and keep your small bills like 20 pesos. They come in handy for tips or buying souvenirs at the market. My next Mexico travel tip is all about bathrooms or baños. You will notice walking around the towns and the cities that there aren't a whole lot of public bathrooms available. When they are available, you will have to pay for them. Usually about 5 or 10 pesos per person. So when you do get coin change, always hoard your 5 and 10 peso coins. You will need these for the bathrooms. Sometimes you will have to pay extra for toilet paper, so if you can, bring some toilet paper in your purse or your pocket. With that being said, always take advantage of using the bathrooms when you're a paying customer at a restaurant because they may not always be readily available. When you are off the resorts or the big hotels, most of the bathrooms actually don't allow you to flush toilet paper down the toilet. Their sewage and plumbing systems just can't handle it here, so you'll notice that everyone puts their toilet paper in the garbages. Also, when it comes to bathrooms, know which one is the proper one. On my very first trip to Mexico, I did not know that the M was actually the ladies' washroom. So M stands for mujeres. You might also see damas for washrooms as well. That brings me to my next travel tip for visiting Mexico, which is it's really helpful to learn basic Spanish. The service here is great. Everyone is so friendly, but if you make an effort to say buenos dias instead of good morning or buenas tardes for good afternoon, even hola and gracias, you just get that much more friendlier service. If you want help learning Spanish, I love using Rocket Languages. It's one of the cheapest and most user-friendly programs I've actually ever used, so check that out if you're interested. Learning a bit of the language will also help you when it comes to taxis. Always agree to the fare before you get into the taxi. When you're getting a taxi off of the resort, this doesn't necessarily apply quite as much because they will have their standard prices, but when you're just walking through town and you want to grab a taxi randomly, it does help to ask and negotiate the fare before you start your ride. More and more taxis around Mexico are becoming metered, so if this is the case, you won't be able to negotiate. But if it's not a metered fare, you should absolutely make sure that you agree to the price instead of getting surprised at the end. I don't know if you would consider this a travel tip, but this is just something I recommend to everyone, is you should learn to barter and have fun with it. Don't be afraid. A lot of the local vendors actually love when you try and barter and have fun with it. As far as travel tips when it comes to bartering in Mexico at the little souvenir markets, if you have a particular item that you're shopping for, I recommend getting a couple of price points first before you start bartering on the actual item. So for example, we bought this hat at the market in Bucerias, and we knew we wanted to get this cowboy hat, so we went to one shop just to see how much they were going for. The first guy said it was 500 pesos. Then we went a little bit further, and the second guy said he started at 280 pesos. So we ended up getting the hat for 200 pesos. So that just shows you that prices can vary hugely. When you do start your bartering process, they will quote you a price. I recommend returning with a price at about a quarter or 30% of what they originally offered. That way you can negotiate back and forth, and if you get somewhere to about 50% of what they originally quoted you, you know you got a pretty good deal. And remember, they won't sell you anything if they can't make money off of it, so don't feel bad for bartering. It's really fun and they love it too. One of my most important travel tips for Mexico is staying hydrated. You can't drink the water from the taps here. You'll always be buying bottled water. It's very cheap, but if you're not used to the heat or the humidity, make sure that you stay hydrated. So always buy bottled water. There are OXXOs at every corner. This is basically their 7-Eleven. However, I do recommend that you definitely look out for these. These are called electrolyte. You probably know them as Pedialyte. We prefer drinking the electrolyte just because they have very little sugar. Some people like Gatorade or Powerade, but these are way easier to find. They come in lots of fun flavors. They're not too sweet, and they're really good at rehydrating you. Another one of my travel tips for Mexico is you should definitely buy a SIM card for your phone. So if you don't want to pay the roaming fees for your carrier at home, you can buy a cheap SIM card here in Mexico at any of the OXXOs. So look for the Telcel SIM cards. You can buy cards anywhere from 1 to 6 gigs of data, and that also includes calling and texting. And they activate it for you at the store. So you can buy 3 gigs of data for 200 pesos, and it's valid for 30 days, and it's super convenient. The Wi-Fi isn't going to always be reliable, especially when you're off the resort or out of a restaurant and you want to look something up on Google Maps. You will always have internet. It's fast, it's reliable, and we do this every time we're in Mexico. And for us, a 6 gigabyte SIM card here that's valid for 30 days is cheaper than 2 days of roaming on our normal carrier plans at home. So it's a no-brainer for us. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. I have tons more videos coming your way.